Nick and I were talking about our vinyl collections. Eric, are you familiar with the app Discogs? Are you a
No,
Discogs guy? Okay,
no.
I gotta get you and Nick on Discogs. So it's an app, and you can scan the UPC codes on your vinyl, and
Okay.
then it creates a catalog, and you can share it with your friends, so you can see what records they have, and you can like track the value of your collection, and
I've
then you
got a
can also
buddy,
like make a want list,
I
and
got a buddy of mine that does that with a whiskey thing. He's got like this whiskey shed. I think
yeah.
it's called the Shed on the whiskey app, and that's cool. Speaking of vinyl, I was in the market for some new speakers and went to the store to like demo a bunch of different speakers. And one of the albums that they put on was Michael Hedges' Aerial Boundaries, which is a acoustic guitar vinyl record. It was really good. And I've since got it on title.
Is that one of those like coveted like select editions that it's worth a bunch of money and you're not
I
supposed to
don't
take?
think so. No, I
Okay,
don't think so. It was just something that made it maybe had a good acoustical representation of range that you could
nice.
hear good speakers with.
Yeah,
Maybe I don't
you
know.
know another one for that is a Harry Belafonte live at Carnegie Hall. I don't know if you're
Oh,
into some of the vintage recordings, but Harry Belafonte, Carnegie Hall. If you have the right setup, it can sound like you're actually at Carnegie Hall.
really?
Uh,
What's the right
yeah.
setup?
Well, there is no right setup, right? But something other than, I don't know,
The speakers on
just
your
your
computer.
run of the mill Bose speakers or something. Do you have like a baller like hi-fi system?
I don't. And I was thinking, like, do I need one? And I was
Yes.
listening,
Yes.
and you can just go nuts right in there where they're
Yes.
like, well, you need this mono block and you
Yeah.
need these speakers. The tweeters are made out of silk or beryllium or all this other stuff that was just crazy. And like, you have to lay down. They give you smelling salts after they tell you the price.
They have like anti like tectonic plate movement, that anything that disrupts the rumbling of the earth, the wobble of the earth, it negates that. So you're getting the pure needle on
Dark
wax.
matter filters. We got to invent that. But I did say to the sales guy, because they have like Macintosh stuff all over there. And I was like, well, isn't Macintosh kind of like the Posers brand? Because like everybody knows it, but it's really not that good. And that just threw him for a loop.
But he didn't like that comment.
No, because they're like, I think they're sponsored by Macintosh.
Yeah, for sure. I,
Minneapolis has got a good vinyl scene. We got Minneapolis Hi-Fi. I don't know if you've been there. I haven't been there yet, but
The record store?
it's more of like a listening room. I think it has the high-end speakers and you
Oh
know,
boy. Dude, you can
fifteen
go to
thousand dollar
Best Buy
chair.
and they've got like $100,000 speakers in there. At
Yeah,
the what do they call it? The Magnolia Room.
yes.
right.
Yep.
Yeah. How
Are
about you,
you
Nick?
using Erica? You mentioned Title. Are you using that for your streaming?
I am.
Can
Yeah.
you? Do you think you can tell a difference between the other? Because I was trying and I don't know if I can or not, but I might try it again.
I don't think you can because I'm streaming it through some crappy speakers,
Yeah,
but
that's a good point.
I think in theory you could because it's supposed to be relatively close to lossless.
Yeah, Apple. I notice a big difference between Apple and Spotify. Since I'm an audiophile, I'm constantly checking between the two, especially with my own music. Since I'm really intimate with how it sounds on my speakers, I can tell the
Yeah.
difference when then it's uploaded. Spotify is terrible.
Oh,
And then
Spotify's worse than Apple. You're saying?
yeah, Apple's way
Well,
better.
Because I
Apple's like
thought Apple
CD
was
quality,
great
right?
because I have lossless turned on all of it.
I
That's
don't know.
about as good as you're
Apple's
going
not
to get.
truly lossless, so I think it's just CD quality.
Oh,
True.
is it?
Yeah.
There's a bit of a debate though. Like CDs are 44 1K, and then like once you get up into those 48K ranges, it's all like higher frequencies, right? So it's like beyond the range of human hearing. So like all the data that's being added is just you know air. So
Right.
it's
But
there's a bit of a debate.
isn't it around like the resonances though? So yes, it's higher frequency, but then after it bounces off a couple of things, it kind of brings around the warmth as they
That's what they
reduce in
say.
frequency. I don't know.
I feel like it could be true, but also can't really tell, and feel like it could be a sales pitch to buy some more of that expensive stuff you're talking about.
Well, you got to outfit that new house with some hi-fi speakers, Eric.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, you need a whole cigar like hi-fi room, man.
Whiskey room with the records and speakers and
We're waiting for our invite, Eric. We can help you design.
So anyway,
build
what's
that
up?
out.
We can spend your money easily.
After we're done building out the studio, we'll start
Yeah.
working on your hi-fi
Right?
room. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's old technology. We'll do a little segue here. I thought this was an interesting article. I wanted to pull it up and see what you guys had to say.
Oh, I don't even want to know what's going on right now.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah, this is from the Hacker News. It came out September 4th. Cyber criminals exploit X's Grok AI to bypass ad protections and spread malware to millions. Cybersecurity researchers have flagged a new technique that cyber criminals have adopted to bypass social media platform X's malvertising protections and propagate malicious links using its artificial intelligence assistant Grok. It sounds like they're using adult content to embed links and then push out this malvertising through the legit channels on Grok. So then people think that it's legit since it's coming through, the X's advertising.
Right.
Nick and I were chopping this up before we went live, and it's like, this is kind of nothing new. It might be new for Grok or just kind of a new attack vector, but I was talking about all of the bunk ads I see on Instagram, for like flashlights that are supposedly light up a football field or, what have you. It's not unique to this space, let's just say. But I was curious how you approach this, Eric, or how you would think about this if you were working with someone like me who's on social media for the job or at an organization. Is it just kind of awareness, like talking about it, or how do you like to train people on?
Well, it's both, but we're really seeing a lot of the malicious ads that are coming through because Google doesn't really filter from an ad perspective if there's malicious content in the ads, and they pop up like somebody types in angry IP for the angry IP scanner. The first one that you're going to see is a Google ad, and it's not a legitimate link to that site to download the product. We're seeing a ton of those type of ads that have malicious content embedded. So that's kind of the drive-by attack that I think we've seen recently here in the Twin Cities. There's some pretty good products and ways to block that on the corporate side. On the home user side, we had the folks on from the DNS filtering Pi-hole. That's a good way to do it at home, but the challenge you run into there is you may have members of the household that are upset when they can't click on the first link that pops up, and then it's like, well, your IT stuff is doing whatever. But on the corporate side, you can have policy around that, and you can block those things. There's some pretty good products now too that filter commercial email. So if somebody at work is trying to go to a Gmail site or a Yahoo site, it's going to open it up in a protected browser called browser isolation. So Josh, to answer your question directly, those attacks are more prevalent because they work versus like a watering hole attack where they might compromise a website. And we saw that a lot with So Schoolish, which was a way to compromise JavaScript on websites. People go to that website, the malicious content is downloaded to the machine, and then the exploits are executed. But I think there's two ways to do that. One is the monitoring the user traffic and filtering it either through your firewall with SSL decryption or with a tool that'll do browser isolation, and then most importantly, not allowing administrative access to happen on the user endpoint. But Nick, you're living this stuff too. I know you've been down a big YubiKey project to implement YubiKeys across the enterprise. So another way, right? But you're probably doing that in conjunction with some local admin work.
Oh, you're muted, Nick.
Thanks for catching me. I currently have my lawn being mowed, so I wouldn't turn the mute on. Apologies. It's hot in Texas, so I have somebody mowing my lawn. Anyways, we
Well, hold on a minute. You don't mow your own lawn?
not in the hot months.
But in the winter you do.
but in the winter I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm relaxing now. I'm on PTO from mowing my lawn.
When you were in Minnesota, did you mow your own lawn?
Always.
Did you have somebody shovel the driveway?
No.
Okay.
I had a plow in the front of my 4-wheeler.
Okay.
46
my
degrees
driveway.
here this morning, Nick.
It's getting chilly.
It's a little unseasonably cold. Yeah. Speaking
Oh,
of
that
lawn,
does sound kind of nice though. But I'll take 75 or 80, and it's good.
Living the good life down there in Texas.
Yeah, good. We are. Come on down. Come on down. Live the good life with me.
Yeah, we're almost done with the mowing.
Go ahead, Josh.
Oh, I just said we're almost done with the mowing around here. At least it feels like it. I think we got another month.
We do.
Eric,
we do. Go ahead.
Eric, what are you working with? Are you doing a riding lawnmower, or what are we talking here? We got the double blade Toro. How beefed up are we?
No, I currently have no lawn, so nothing. Working with nothing.
I would bet anything though, Eric has a service for mowing his lawn. There's no way. You're mowing your own lawn?
I just moved, sir.
Would you mow your own lawn?
Well, I mean, I don't know about
Here
that.
we go. Here we go. Oh,
it's a source of pride in Minnesota. Like,
yeah, I agree. I totally agree. But not when it's 100 degrees outside.
I have the prairie landscape.
Yeah, you going natural?
You're going natural. Mm-hmm.
Prairie grass.
We'll have to chat about that more.
Yeah, I don't know about that. We'll have to check that out. I was gonna say,
all
like,
right.
You got a couple different. Hold on, Nick. You got a couple different options.
I totally got sidetracked with this lawnmower.
You got a couple different options when installing grass, Eric. Are you gonna do like the spray grass? Or are you gonna seed it? Or are we talking sod here? What are you going with? Or are you just gonna let the prairie grass go?
Well, prairie for 90% of it. For the we've got a dog, and in that dog area. We'll have sod because the dog can't really go in the prairie area with all of the deer ticks. Got a lot of deer running through the backyard and don't want to necessarily deal with the deer ticks on the dog, and have gone down the rabbit hole of the different poisons that you put either in the dog or on the dog, and I'm trying to avoid that. So I think it's a small area of sod with a fence, prairie on the outside of that.
All right.
These are the hard-hitting topics that people were looking for.
Didn't we hit it hard on Thursday last week, Nick?
We did. And what I was thinking about this whole time when Eric was talking about that is one of our customers, when I was in Minnesota last, they have a prairie area when you're walking in.
Oh, yeah. The pollinator.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. And one of our favorite customers.
And yes. I think she was, one of our favorite customers. And I think she was in the office today. So that's what brought it to my attention.
Excellent.
So, we were talking about, I think, policies and procedures, Nick, and what you're dealing with in terms of like, employee training.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And there's all kinds of technical things that we do and will do. And YubiKey is certainly one of them. And we're doing it at one of our organizations right now that we're working with. And we will be doing it at more. And YubiKey is the way to go, really. And so that's the technical aspect of it. But, with this stuff, and Eric and I talked about this Thursday, we're humans. We're learning about this stuff real time as well. We might have known about it a little longer because we like this stuff and we're looking at it sooner. But a lot of this is just about awareness, making people aware of what's happening. And whether that's a newsletter or whatnot, or making sure other professionals in the space are seeing what's happening so we can educate others. If they click a link from something like this, whatever tactics they're using, you click that link in the metadata or wherever it is around that video, you go to a website with a bunch of malicious links, right? It's just about creating that awareness here. So we talked about a lot of the technical stuff, which is really good, and especially using YubiKey. So if people aren't familiar with YubiKey, we certainly would like to have a discussion and get people set up, but or be looking at it on your own, because it certainly makes our end users' life a lot easier, but it makes the operator's life easier too.
What would you guys say the percentage of employees are looking at adult content at work in any given organization? Well, let's have a number. I want to like a ballpark
it's
Are you
percentage.
talking about on their
we-
work computer, or are you talking about in
Yeah.
general?
Like at work, logged in, punched in, getting paid, looking at
more than
adult
you would like to
content.
know.
What do you think the number is, though?
Oh, I don't even know if I can get an Eric. You want to take a shot at a number?
I would say, are you talking about like over a year period? It's probably 10 to
yeah.
15%.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
At least that
Yeah.
I would guess. We have this stuff comes up a lot. I feel like.
Do you think they're just getting sucked into like thirst traps that are popping up, or do you think they're like actually just taking the time to have some personal time during their workday?
I
don't-
think I've seen both, right? Like, maybe an after hours crew that's in their second or third shift, maybe a crew that is not traditionally office workers. Yeah, there's all sorts of things you see, and you see it coming across the corporate network, but there's lots of blocks and filters on that network. So then you tend to see it more on the unfiltered guest network, because I think there's some statutes that limited the ability to filter on the guest network. Certainly saw it in the public library space, where there was these things kind of like they become urban gospel, where somebody says, well, it's public, so we can't really filter the traffic, and then I don't know, somehow that becomes policy, but it's like it's not true. It just takes somebody to come in and say, no, we're not having adult content on these networks, and you block it. But I think that's pretty pervasive, and we've seen that in a variety of environments we've been in.
We must have come a long way, because back when I was in high school, which was a while ago now, you could get into all sorts of trouble at the library computer. It was things I
Not
cannot
anymore.
not anymore. Yeah, thank God too. And so that's similar in those public sectors as it is to like an organizational kind of protections, just kind of putting some filters on.
There's network-based filters that understand the IP addresses or the content of the places that the user is trying to go, and they filter them. Typically, it's category-based. So you have pornography, you may have tobacco, gambling, just different category filters that you can block the traffic on. And
I
you know,
think-
we. Oh, I was just going to say the last thing that we work with police departments, and the folks that are either case officers or police officers that are doing investigations, of course, have to be able to go to any of the sites of machines or people that they're investigating. So those are wide open.
Yeah, I think I was seeing it previous organizations where people would be logged into their personal Google to review your Gmail or whatever. So when they're logged into their Google, their search history and everything comes up, or they might click on something, or it shows up in their frequently browsed, right? So you might be working on their computer or something, and you are seeing this coming up. Well, now it's got a way in to the network where these malicious links or what have you.
Right. Yeah. So I want to give a shout out. I got a pitch for an idea for another series, but I want to give a shout out to Jen, who's going to be doing SIP Cyber, which is going to be
Yep.
coming out here a week from Monday. I think we're dropping it. We're going to have an official announcement coming out soon. And then shout out to these two guys, Nick and Eric, for Field Notes, our live stream event that's going to be happening, I think, once a month. Is that what we decided on?
I think we got to get another one in before Nick goes out on paternity leave.
That's what we're talking about. I think we're excited about it, so we want to get another one in the shoot.
Always happy to jump in if Nick can't be there, but yeah, we'll make it happen. So here's another idea I want to do. Check the temperature on this one, and if you're listening in the comments section, checking the temperature live. I thought of doing a little docu-series on cyber criminals, and then do a profile about what they did, how much time they're serving, where it took place, and how they executed their attack, and do a little documentary 5-minute clip on that. I think that would bring a personal level to highlight that these are real people doing this. I think oftentimes it's like mostly kind of behind the screen, right? Or it's just like a movie thing. And I think kind of putting a name and face possibly to some of these actions, a little public shaming goes a long way sometimes. But I always like those.
I'm in on it.
You're in.
Ton. Same.
There
Eric,
were
you
okay.
in?
I got to sidetrack this again now that you brought this up because it made me think about something I just watched on Netflix last week. And I can't remember the name of it. I'm gonna have to look it up.
Was it a
But it was
K-pop
about
show?
it was no, it was not.
Hey, you
It
got
was
me
a
on
cat.
Thursday with this nonsense.
It
So
was a catfish. I did. Of course, you knew I was gonna have that prime.
I
and
saw
ready to
that.
go.
wait.
I knew
Just
you'd
wait.
take
It
that
was a
opportunity. Nick.
catfishing show on Netflix. Trying to look it up real time right now. I think it was called Unknown Number. Did you guys see this?
No.
It was about a mom texting her daughter and her boyfriend just the most insane messages you could ever imagine, like telling her own daughter to kill herself.
Whoa.
Oh my
It was so crazy
Whoa.
to see this. And just so what prodded in my head was Josh's comment about it's everyday people. You would never have thought a mother would do this. Right. So it's the kind of the same kind of thing that you never know, who could be doing it, but look it up. Yeah. I think it's called Unknown Number on Netflix, but it was jarring, I would say.
I
Josh
don't
is
know
going to
about
be like the next Geraldo getting into his face there.
Chris Hansen. Yeah, I don't know about you, gents, but my wife loves listening to and watching the most heinous crime show docu-series that are available. You guys can relate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What is
Absolutely.
What are we
the
talking
deal?
about? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That's what's in now. That's what's coming in on Netflix. Everybody likes to see it. Yeah, it's all over.
Josh,
Yeah.
you got other articles here that we got to talk about.
Okay.
We're all
right.
over the place today.
That's all right. We're having fun.
Yeah, we are.
How many
This one-
CBD sodas did you have at lunch, Nick?
How many what? What was it?
CBD. Yeah.
Not enough. Not enough.
This one's a little bit of a
Okay.
futurism.
So,
kind
no,
of
good story here. I got to get into this one. So,
Yeah.
aside from this story, had a good friend who, over the holidays, the winter holidays, was in Florida visiting his family,
Yeah.
staying with his sister. And just before he left for the airport, he was in the bathroom and he went into tachycardia. So he's on the floor, his heartbeat's racing. I think they said it went over 300 beats a minute. And he calls out help to his sister, and fortunately she heard him, called the ambulance. They came and they couldn't get a vein to push drugs. So they ended up drilling a stent into his shin. They're like, this is really going to hurt, but we got to do it to save your life. Jam it in there, push the drugs, because I guess if they push the drugs into the bone, I don't know, that's a thing. And they get him to the hospital. They save his life, but they have to put in a pacemaker. And the pacemaker records everything that's going on in his heart, and if his heart starts beating too fast, it sends a shock, right? And it kind of shocks it back to where it's supposed to be. So in his first checkup a month later, well, on the airplane ride home, he's got to wear this vest just in case he has a heart event, and that'll bring him back. But anyway, a month later, he's getting a checkup with the doctor that's in Florida. He's in the Twin Cities here, and they're going over all of the different events that happened to his heart over the last month. And he's like, well, how you doing that? I'm like, oh, it connects to your phone, it uploads data, and we can tweak it. So, we can adjust the settings on the thing. And he's freaked out. And I was like, well, you can actually adjust the settings of how often you're shocking my heart remotely. So we started talking about that, and he's, in the security space, works with us here. So it was like, we have organizations we work with that just have patches that haven't been applied for years. There's out-of-date software, end-of-life hardware. And if that was occurring on the servers that are responsible for his medical equipment, the threat actors could have a field day. All I got to do is get into that environment, and now they have access to not one patient, but tens, hundreds of thousands of patients. And I mean, that's really a ransomware event there, where if your environment's not clean, they could really do some damage. So it's kind of a sobering thing to talk about around how important it is to do your patching, especially those of us who are in the life safety space. But not to derail the conversation here, Josh, but when we started talking about the heart rate and the Wi-Fi signals, it kind of brings it home to the fact that the due diligence is really critical, regardless of what sector we're in.
Absolutely. I think it really hits home when it's talking about your heart health or something of that nature. It reminds me, this Monday we have episode 73 of the audit coming out with Ed Gadet from Sensinet, who we talked at length about, kind of this being a new attack vector with ransomware and whatnot. And that's why I wanted to bring this article in. This is from news.ucsc. And yeah, to your point, Eric, this is talking about Internet of Things, medical devices that are now messing with our health. So this particular news event is Wi-Fi signals can be measured by heart rate now, no wearables needed. So from what I gathered from this article, that they do the proof of concept that that they can measure your heart rate using filters and machine learning just with the Wi-Fi signal. So I'll read this quick paragraph and then pass it off to you guys. Traditionally, measuring heart rate requires some sort of wearable device, whether it be a smartwatch or hospital-grade machinery. But new research from engineers at the University of California, Santa Cruz, shows how the signal from a household Wi-Fi device can be used for this crucial health monitoring and with state-of-the-art accuracy, with no need for a wearable. And it sounded like, just with the Wi-Fi or like a Raspberry Pi, some cheap device that's maybe $10 or $15, they're achieving this result. And like it says here, that you're only 10 feet away or 3 meters away. I wanted to expand upon what you started with, Eric. Like, what kind of vectors do you see opening up? And it's kind of a futuristic conversation, right? How do we think about security in the future, which is coming so fast, that we might need to start thinking about our own health when it comes to cybersecurity?
A lot of us wear the wearables these days, right? You got like an Aura ring, an Apple Watch, different kinds of watches, Garmin watch. So it's kind of the crossover between the personal health and the data that it's tracking, where that data is going. It's certainly an interesting space.
For the first thing I think about when I read this is, if you think back, probably more than 10 years ago, the attack space was your organization might be 20, 50, 100 devices. Now in this space, we're protecting like thousands of devices, our entry points, TVs on the wall of your organization, printers, everything that's connecting. So now here's just like another entry. Here's another door that could be unlocked, right? Or not locked for somebody to come in. But it's cool technology. I wear an Apple Watch as well regularly too. So, we're all have these devices.
I wonder how, this affects governance, or where this falls, where the responsibility falls. Of course, on every person to protect their own security, but is this something they're going to have to look more at in a governance way? Because these devices that we're wearing are collecting all this data, this mountain of data that then is being used for advertising, or maybe to sell pacemakers or to sell supplements, or whoever would like to buy that kind of data. And if we're all of a sudden, if they're able to extract that personal health information from us without our consent or without knowing it, I wonder what kind of ramifications that may have. Like if you go to a nutrition store and all of a sudden, oh, your heart rate looks a little high, you should try this vitamin, for example, something to that effect.
I think you'd certainly run into that kind of an issue if you're going into a public space. But if you're using this at home in a controlled environment, you're probably not going to run into this problem where if you go into a GNC or something, you'd probably have to sign a waiver for them to see this or whatever it is, for it to be public knowledge. But I think, Eric, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I think right here, if it's not traceable to a specific person, you wouldn't technically fall under like a HIPAA regulation or something. Like if it doesn't say Nick, this is his information, his address, social, or whatever it is, you're less likely to actually have a governance problem. Now it's more of just an ethical topic.
But it could be interesting too around what data is available to the service providers
Certainly.
that we use. So, could you run into an insurance issue down the road if they're able to gather this information? Like, right now we know Google and Yahoo and Microsoft are in our email and the personal side, and they're gathering information about us and using that to market towards us. But what if they were using that to write policy, like some of the car insurance providers want you to stick that device in your car, track your driving habits to increase or decrease your rates. Same thing could happen on the healthcare side.
Yeah. And there's a lot of talk online too, just about like social credit systems, or I don't know if this relates directly, but the whole picture, the big picture of how you're interacting in society, how you're driving. Is that going to be connected to a real ID? Is that going to be connected to some sort of government database, whether it's private or public, where they can start, like you said, insurance? What other kinds of banking? What other kinds of controls could they implement, given this data, to maybe ostensibly keep us more safe and secure? It's always a double-edged sword, but
We're certainly on the doorstep to that issue. Because to Eric's car insurance comment, I know Tesla has an option where you can buy insurance from them, and they're obviously have all that data from the car, right? So they can fluctuate real time your premium if you're like heavy on the gas all the time if you're using their insurance.
It's like
Yeah.
a Dark Mirror episode.
sure is.
Yeah.
Nick's going to start talking about chemtrails and how the government chipped us.
Oh, that was what that beat of rice was.
All right. Well, we got another one more article here. It's another kind of future tech centric thing. But I know Eric, and Nick, you're an adopter of Starlink. It looks like Amazon's rival is getting rolled out as we speak. Amazon's Starlink rival, Project Kuiper, demos 1 gigabyte downloads. And this is from PC Magazine. It's saying Amazon's satellite internet service hits 1280 megabytes per second, though it was achieved using an enterprise customer terminal on a network that currently has plenty of capacity. Yeah, I just wanted to open it up about your experience with Starlink, and then what do you think about like this increased speed? Have you had a steady service with Starlink? Are you looking forward to having more competition in the space? Or
I think competition is good. I've been using Starlink for probably a year now. Not dedicated for my home use, but we have it in case of outage or a storm or a hurricane down here or whatever. So we have it and we can set it up quickly. It's like on a standby mode. And you can like pause their service. So that's how I have it set up. So I can just click it over. Obviously you have to have power still at the house. But it's connected to my router and it's got a failover mode. So if that loses, it just Starlink picks up the service to the house. I think the Kuiper project is a little different than Starlink. From what I know of it, it sounds like they're just rolling this out. You can't get into the service yet, but they're trying to go to underserved areas that have maybe bad connection, right? Same thing as Starlink is doing that, but I think their adoption is going to be different where you're not going to be buying like an actual satellite like Starlink. Like you would buy, maybe for you guys, like it's Xfinity, Comcast, or whatever, you get, router, modem, etc. You get their device. I think you'll get a little device like that from what I was looking on Amazon's website. So you would adopt that. You wouldn't like maybe put a satellite in your house. It could be different, but that's what they were showing. So we'll see what actually comes out. Who knows? It could change. You might get an actual some sort of small satellite. But Starlink did also show that they have 1 gig capabilities as well. Just last week, I think. So if you have their enterprise service, you can pull 1,000.
I'm not a Starlink customer on my personal side. I've got a couple customers on it, and it works great. I think from a personal perspective, I was looking at it this week because I don't have great cellular at the house and have fiber, but apparently a gopher chewed through the line is what they say. And I was without internet for a day, which sucks. But and just how connected everything is, it's tough. But the Starlink or some sort of satellite based internet's probably the next thing in the next 15 years. It'll probably be huge with more than one competitor. It's just Starlink seems to have quite an advantage because they have, I don't know, probably close to 10,000 satellites now. Seems to be a great company to buy some stock in once that becomes available. I think that's one you go all in on because they're so far out ahead from a connectivity standpoint. Now, whether or not the things they're doing are ethical or not with what's going on over in Ukraine and other parts of the world with internet connectivity in those remote spaces is a different question. But Josh, I think Amazon or whoever else wants to get into this space and add competition would be great. It has to go to satellite because the ground base we're limited from a redundancy standpoint.
Yeah. How does this change your approach to cybersecurity when you're talking about opening up new pathways for network connectivity? I mean, it gives you more operational resilience if you can always hook up to the internet, if you can have faster speeds, but are also giving those bad actors that same opportunity. Does it change how you fortify organizations or people that might be using these services?
Nick, I think you've got some thoughts here too, but from my perspective, it's a redundancy. We've got a customer that's got a location out in the Washington area, Kent, Washington, and the internet out there's not a lot of great options, and they seem to have issues with whichever we've tried a couple of different ones, and every 6 months there seems to be some sort of an outage. So having satellite-based redundancy is great, and that ability to fail over from one network to the other is great. As long as all of that traffic is encrypted through the satellite, they're not going to really be able to look at that data unless they start doing decryption. But they'd have to have certs to do that. So the way I think about it is less about the security side of it and more about the redundancy and availability side of information security, and then just making sure that you're doing your encryption before that traffic hits that satellite and you're doing the appropriate level of encryption.
Yep, agreed. I think I was going to say every time you can get some redundancy is going to be good. And that's how I have it set up in my house too. And so it's in a monitoring mode and my phone's connected to it, and it will always send and receive messages from that. But it's only, I think the monitoring fee from Starlink's like $5 a month to have it set up like that. And then, but if you want to kick it over to full service, it's 60 or 100 or something like that. But to get back to your question, and Eric already nailed it, I don't see an added risk at all. And if anything, us as a provider or a security, advisor to an organization, we would advocate for something like this because we want to eliminate any outages. So to me, it's a good thing.
I think if you get into some customers that have real low latency, like stock trading type of issues, I guess not issues, but requirements, then it might not be an option. But for the vast majority, it's probably a good viable backup.
Yeah, what is the latency experience like on that? Is it a little bit slower than your fiber optic or your typical internet connection?
Oh yeah, it can be. I don't have numbers off the top of my head right now, but you certainly wouldn't be playing video games online with something.
Okay.
You could, but it just depends on your connection, right? The satellites are constantly going around. I think these things are getting better, but yeah, to Eric's point, it's not going to be as good as your fiber connection at home. But the Amazon video that they were showing, I think it was somewhere in Washington as well. It was where Eric was talking about. It's in Kellam or something like that, where this town, they have people actually moving out, from what I understand, because the internet is so expensive, and they're getting like 0.7 of a megabyte of internet, and they're paying like $80 a month for it, and it goes out all the time. So there's cafes that are opening up where kids are doing their homework in the car, their parents' car, parked next to the cafe to get internet to connect to do their homework. So that's what Amazon's doing, is they're coming in and they're trying to launch these satellites. Now, they're way behind Starlink. It'd be just on the satellite numbers. I think they're going to try to get to 100 satellites launched this year, and Starlink's over 1,000 satellites right now. So
I think Starlink's like 7,000, but yeah,
is it 7,000? Oh,
it's
I'm way
something
off.
crazy. But it's like, wasn't it Abe Lincoln doing his homework on the back of a coal shovel, and now we're doing it in the back of an SUV?
Yeah. Going
I
backwards.
shared with you guys the first time I saw Starlink. I thought I was witnessing an alien invasion out on a dog walk.
Now here we go. Get the tinfoil hats
yeah.
out.
30 lights going across. I saw someone make a post about that recently. They had a similar experience that no one had told them, or they had not read about how that's going to look in the sky. And then I think they break up, don't they? They reach like a different formation at some point, and that's how
Oh.
they launch.
I'm not sure on that. On
Yeah.
the formation.
Yeah, well, they were just
Space
in
crash.
lockstep.
Yeah.
All I know is they
Lockstep.
get service, and it works good.
All right, Jens. Anything else top of mind today? Cybersecurity in September 2025.
Get ready for October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah.
We
We're
got
gonna
some
have some
exciting things
posters.
coming up.
Yep, we'll have some posters up on the website for you to download and put in your office if you're so inclined. And then, yeah, we're going to be rolling out some really fun stuff. So make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Check out our YouTube channel. Leave a comment so we know that you're watching. We have a next episode coming out Monday with Ed Gadet from Sensinet about healthcare and that being a ransomware attack vector. Super cool episode that we recorded about a week or two ago. So until next time, my name is Joshua Schmidt. I'm your co-host and producer. You've been listening to The Audit. We've been joined by Eric Brown and Nick Mellon from IT Audit Labs. Catch you in the next one.
Thanks. Yeah. Have a good weekend. See you guys.